Don't care.
Honors Geometry, Monday the 10th of February. Students will be able to solve ratios and proportions.
How did you not read your own handwriting?
No way. Happy early birthday.
Wait, is this Sunday or last Sunday?
Are you turning 16?
No, I'm 14.
Shut up, bro.
Really? This many?
When you skipped all your grades in second when you were
Well
here.
played,
That is a lie.
What?
She was a really, really smart 2-year-old.
Yeah. I didn't know you could decide on people's opinions.
Okay, wait, if you were
Yes. I'm also the dictator here.
I don't care.
I have a question.
I'm legally in charge of you guys.
That
you're not.
sucks.
Wait, Mr. Ross, I have like a legitimate question.
Okay.
So like, if you were born on a leap year, and every year the sun, or you rotate around the sun once, you know, when do you like count yourself as like?
People typically do it the day before the day after. So they either do it
I know, but
the
like,
the first part.
Or they
it's
just
not
wait for a year.
actually like how like what's like the time period that you're like missing? Why is it like that?
I miss a quarter of the day. Actually, approximately a quarter of the day. Because every
Yeah, it's every 4
400
years.
every
When's the next leap year?
no, it's every 100 years.
What?
It's every 4 years we have a
No,
leap
okay,
year.
so like every like no, because for leap year, for like a leap year, okay, so you have it every 4 years, right? For the most part, but there's actually times when you don't too. I just learned this a few weeks ago, actually. Okay. So like for example, in the year 1600, that was a leap year, ends in 0, divisible by 4 every 4 years. But 1700, 1800, and 1900 were not leap years.
Yeah.
But then 2000 was again.
No way.
So just like for leap year every 4 years, we do every 100 years, we do 3 aren't and 1 is. So we do every 4th 100 years is also a leap year. It's
So
like
every
you
400
take
years
like
is
a
a leap.
random year off all the time because otherwise it should make it just even more accurate.
Just for
apparently
fun.
it's just like that. I just found this out a few weeks ago. It's kind of mind blowing to me. I looked it up and it's like super true. And then there's actually this thing where it's like, where man, Kevin, Peyton, and Rachel are really gonna enjoy this. But and there was actually this thing though where they like there was like this like many different countries because they hadn't adopted like the normal calendar, or like the new calendar at that point, and so it's like they ended up having to like skip over like 2 weeks or something like that, like in their calendar, and it's like the whole country's just skipped over 2 weeks. So that way the whole world would get back on the same date.
Of course.
Like it happened like relatively recent in history too. Like it was like 1600s, 1700s.
How was that
Relatively recently
Recently.
compared to the history of the Earth.
Like the Earth is like 4 billion years old.
Yeah,
And,
like under like the more liberal estimates, billions of years. The more conservative ones, it's still 6,000. So, right?
You just like don't count
So
your
it's like
life.
have the whole country to say, hey, tomorrow is instead of like today being like the 10th and tomorrow being the 11th, like tomorrow is actually March 1st, guys. Like, and you just get like everyone on board with it, which I think is amazing. They were able to do that in like the 1600s, because like especially compared to like the lack of communication skills you have now, like technology would be way easier to have everyone with like phones programmed to do it, computers programmed to do it, than it would then.
I don't think so.
I know
Because,
it's
like,
my birthday.
dates really didn't matter.
And the whole country just
Still my birthday.
That'd be big sad. Yeah.
I just don't get how you like your exact time of birth if it wasn't like. I just don't get how that like registers. You know, like how does that actually work? Not even like celebrating. Why? Shut up, James.
Okay.
Literally so
What is a ratio? What is a ratio? A ratio
That's what I'm here to learn.
is
Good one, Greg. You're so funny.
a comparison. I laughed. A comparison.
It's not very high praise.
That's true. Of 2 or more quantities. It's a comparison of 2 or more quantities. The ratio.
Not pretty nice, I feel like, too.
Ways to represent a ratio. We have 3 ways we can represent a ratio.
fraction.
You can have as a fraction, a over b. You can have the word a to b, or we're gonna have a colon, A colon B.
That's easy.
And really, all of them are actually read though, A to B, A to B, A to B. They're all read A to B. And ratios can be simplified.
Oh no. I hate simplifying.
So we have the simplifier.
I love
Ratios.
simplifying.
Can we just leave it complicated? Simplifying is
We,
like
we're doing simplifying algebra 2 right now.
no.
James, I swear next
Ratios?
time I get another like comment from you.
Like this is to this, so is this to that? What's that called again?
Analogy?
Why are you so annoying?
That's. I feel like there's another name for it when you have colon, colon, and then colon, colon. Is it?
We should have
Yeah, I think you're analogy.
Okay. But yeah, so like there's that in like English with like the colon to colon, the colon to colon, like how these are related, so are these related. You can say like pink is to red, so is
Blue's to purple.
purple is to blue. No, not purple. Like light blue, yeah, like teal is the blue. You know, you say like that would be something. But no, this will just be comparing two quantities, so two groups of numbers. So yeah, that's a great question though. So let's go through a couple of examples here. I think this will help us kind of help it stick and help us understand. A music store has 40 trumpets, 39 clarinets, 24 violins, 51 flutes, and 16 trombones in stock. And we're going to make these ratios and then write them in simplest forms. So let's compare the number of trumpets to violins. We're going to make a ratio between the number of trumpets and violins. So how many trumpets do we have?
40.
40. So we can put 40, and if I were to use, let's say, this third method, 40 colon, what number would I put afterwards? 24, haha, for the number of violins. Okay? It'd be 40 trumpets to 24 violins.
Say it.
Look, he did it.
Say it. What's funnier than 24, Mr. Fossil?
What's funnier? That's 29! Okay.
Is it 29 or 25?
25.
No, I don't.
Right?
Yeah, same. I heard 29. I was like, okay.
What's fun about?
Switching it up here now.
Be cultured.
I heard 25.
Rowan is very cultured.
I didn't say bro.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Rowan. You like were like making eye contact with her or something. I don't know.
That sounds funny.
Okay, then we'd like to simplify this. So 40 to 24 can also be considered, maybe I'll draw an arrow instead of these. Okay, we could go 20 to 12. Okay, we can simplify it both by 2, right? So we go 20 to 12, but can we go even more? 5 to 4.
3.
Or 5 to 3, yeah. Okay, 5 to 3. So we can say for every 5 trumpets, how many violins are there? 3. For every 5 trumpets there are, there's 3 violins.
Oh, stop it.
You want to finish that grading?
Yeah, now we'll never know what's the son of. Okay? So it's 5 to 3 trumpets to violins. Questions on that? Okay? So flutes to clarinets. Okay? Does anyone want to help me set up this one up?
Not really.
Okay,
I
Sarah.
got you. 51 and 39.
Okay, we can do 50, or let's just call this one 239. Let's change it up a little bit here.
Can we simplify by 3? I feel like we can. No, we can't. Yes, we can.
Literally, guys,
5 plus 1 is
6.
6. Is 6 divisible by 3?
Wait, how does that?
So 51 is divisible by 3. If you
I
add the
actually-
digits and it divides by 3,
Nobody
it's
asked.
divisible
I
by
should
divisible by 3.
53, 57, 60.
Isn't it neat?
That's wait.
And 3 and 9, 12 is divisible by 3. So this number is divisible by 3.
Yo, why didn't I get taught this 10 years ago?
I thought you were last year, another one.
No, I don't think you
I
did.
see what you're telling me.
I super don't think you
I
did.
still have the
Let's
I can
go
show
back
you.
to the videos. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yo, I'm low-key
I don't- I
like
super
mind
don't think you
blown
did.
because I did not know that.
So,
No, what?
I thought you and I one too. Okay.
The
So 51 to 39, and we can divide by 3. It goes into 51. Anyone know how many times?
18.
Green, we were in the same math class.
Yeah,
2,
sadly we were. That's
13.
probably why I didn't.
So
learn
for
anything.
every 17 flutes, how many clarinets are there? 13.
Gosh.
That'd be a simplified ratio.
I think that was kind of
This
dumb.
one, 'cause it's easy.
Yeah, that was really good.
Questions on that one?
Oh, God.
No,
Okay.
aggressive.
Yeah,
You guys
Green
try
is
it.
salty. He needs to calm down.
I
You
don't
can do,
advise them.
okay, guys. Jocelyn just asked a question. Can we do a colon instead of the 2? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You can do any of these 3 methods. They're all equivalent. Okay? So you know fraction. Okay?
Oh, wait,
I want you
I'm
guys to try number 3. I want you guys to try number 3 once you have it, or I have a question. I want you to raise
Try
your
to put
hand.
your hand down.
That's great.
How did you divide? What do you do to divide? What's your thought process?
Actually, I just know 51 divided by 317. I just know that's a math fact.
What about 39? Also a math?
So.
Yeah, but you can also say, I mean, I just know that's a math fact, but if it was like bigger numbers, then I would look at, what's it end with? And it ends in a 1. So I'd think, okay, well, if I'm dividing by 3, 3 times what would end in a 1? Okay, well, 3 times 7 is 21. And 3 times anything else is not defined into 1. Because we have 3, 6, 9, okay, but then 12, no, 15, no, 18, no, 21, okay, 24, 10, 27, and 30. Then we repeat. So it has to be 7, 17, so on and so forth, divided evenly. So I look at the last digit to help me.
Okay.
So I know I need the last digits to match up.
So 27 also is 1 then? And then 37.
I don't know, check. Yes. Yes. Yeah, do you want to check? Oh, dope. Thank you. I don't know why you're such a Debbie Downer.
Oh, God.
Okay. If you haven't been checked yet, raise your hand.
Me.
Raise your hand.
No, I don't want you to check me. I want that one too.
That one?
Oh.
If you haven't been checked yet, raise your hand. Well, we're still on number 3.
Oh, okay.
Those are some pretty chunky shoes. Yeah.
I'm gonna make fun of them.
Yeah,
It's fine. I get made fun of for wearing my hunter boots. So.
I make fun of you too.
You got it.
I mean, I got it, but it looks like anyone else did the work.
Well, I know that
You only need one laugh for a joke to be done.
I guess
I know
we're
that
fine.
one.
Don't. No!
Okay. So, trombones and trumpets, 16 to 40. Okay, you can do a fraction if you wanted as well.
5 by 4.
And this one, we can divide by 4. Okay, can we also divide by a bigger number?
8.
8, right? So we can go 2 and 5. Now, if you divided by 4 and had 4 over 10, then you can see again, oh, I need to divide by 2. So 2 to 5. Okay? Now, number 4, violins to total instruments. Violins to total instruments. Can anybody help me set this one up?
No.
Okay. Okay, 24, haha, to 170. Okay, how do we get the 170? Adding all of them up, right? Okay, and we include the number of violins in that because the violin's an instrument.
It is? I don't consider it an instrument.
Oh, okay. So, what can we divide by here?
It's 12 to 20, 50, 85.
It's 12 to 85. And that is actually as much as it can simplify.
Oh.
They gave me like 5.
That's as much, because these two numbers are relatively prime, is what we call
Wait, what'd you divide
them. 2.
by? Oh.
So 12 to 85. So 12 out of every 85 instruments are violins. 12 out of every 85 instruments are violins.
That's pretty neat.
Okay. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, are we done now?
You can move on to the next page.
No. 6.5?
No.
Yeah, let's go back to 5.5.
Yes.
Hey, you agree to it.
He even suggested it. Okay. Extended. It does kind of look like extended patios.
What is that?
Okay, extended ratios. That's supposed to be ratios. It does kind of look like patios. Whoops. Okay, extended ratio is a comparison Instead of being 2 or more quantities, this one is 3 or more. This one is 3 or more quantities. So if it has 3 or more quantities that we're comparing, it's more specifically called an extended ratio. So it's a ratio, but more specifically, it's an extended ratio. Okay, great.
So should the ratio be 2? So we can just say.
No, but this is still a type of ratio. So it's just like, there's multiple types of things. Like there's multiple types of rectangles, and a square is a type of rectangle. Or multiple types of fruits, yeah. An apple is a type of fruit. Or
It is?
I thought a carrot was.
No. I almost made that joke too. I'm like, wait, that's not true. Okay. Extended ratios are written as A colon B colon C. We only use colons for extended ratios. We only use colons for extended ratios because if we do fractions, when we start doing this kind of stuff with fractions, that's when we get really confused about what actually is going on there mathematically. And we actually get confused about what's going on there mathematically.
So we should just never.
So it's E. So I never advocate for triple fraction like this. Okay.
Is it possible to use a triple fraction? Start. Yeah, cool. If we did it, would you count it?
Only if you do it correctly. Really, what it's best to think of it as, side note, is to think of this as the big fraction bar, and this is a fraction divided by a fraction. And so what you do is you do the top fraction multiplied by the reciprocal of the bottom fraction.
Or
That's actually the best way to think about it. But like, as Alyssa's rubbing her eyes there, I agree, it's kind of annoying. And you're just like rubbing your eyes, like, perfect, this makes my point. I don't know if it was related, but it makes my point. I'm gonna pretend it is. Because it makes my point. I like that. So, it's confusing. I avoid triple fractions, okay? And we don't do 2, 2 as well because we're not in Mallet area. Okay. Maybe we're privately, but not in this current room. Okay. Using extended ratios for angle and side measures. The ratio.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we go for it. Actually, this one's not even an extended ratio. I don't know why it's under extended ratios. That's kind of awkward.
so we're just not gonna do it.
Oh, so the ratio of 2 complementary angles is 3 to 7.
Oh.
Find the measures of both angles. The ratio of 2 complementary angles is 3 to 7. Find the measure of both angles. Okay, what do we know about complementary angles besides the thing that they're nice to each other? They add up to 90, right? So we know the ratio of 3 to 7 will give us something adding up to 90, right? Are the angle measures actually just 3 and 7?
No.
No, let's add up to 10. Okay? But, what could we do to both 3 and 7? Multiply by something. Do we know what we're going to multiply them by? No, we don't know what we're going to multiply them by. But, we have to multiply by the same thing. Yeah, because just a moment ago with our ratios, when we were simplifying them, do we have to divide both parts by the same thing? So to get back to the bigger number, we'd have to multiply by the same thing. So you can do 3x and 7x. So all of a sudden, you can say, oh, the ratio is 3 to 7, so we can do 3x plus 7x is equal to our 90. Questions on our setup? Okay, that's what we'll find out. Okay, so we get 10x is equal to 90, right? And now Jocelyn's asking, okay, after we get x is equal to 9, what do? Find the measures of both angles. Well, we know one angle was 3x and one angle is 7x, so we can plug back in and multiply. So what's the first angle?
27.
27 agreed. What's the second angle?
56.
70, or what? 63. 63. Who said 76? Braden.
I actually said 56, but you just heard.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I just erased it. Okay. 63.
7. I am victorious.
Hi, Victorious and Mr. Crossman. Nice to meet you. Even when you win, you still lose. Life lesson. Okay? Cool.
No, I threw my pencil. Get it right.
So, and we can double check. Are these 2 complementary still? Yeah, it's all to 90. Questions on that?
Supplementary.
I want you guys to try number 6.
I know this one. Not your
Okay.
name.
I do too.
Glad you knew.
You also have like 6 years more school than I do. So I win.
No, I don't think that's how that works.
Well, it is.
Actually, I do just have 6 years
It's just working.
Allow the Kings to win. Okay, so once you have questions on number 6, I want you to raise your hand. You just crack me up. You just keep me on.
What's 4 plus 4? Excuse me. It's 4 plus 4.
That's yeah, before I started playing. What's it about?
No one's gonna answer my question. No, no one's gonna answer your question. You know what it is.
I just have to
Hey Maggie, come here.
What?
Come here.
Did I get it wrong?
Is it correct? Just assume she got it wrong.
Alright,
What?
Yeah, no.
Nah.
Remember, when you're done or have questions, raise your hand. Yep, or have questions. Oh, you already had to check. Okay, sorry. You gotta check? You already checked, I guess, right? Oh, dope. Cool. We'll talk about this one after this.
Okay.
So, does anyone want to help me set this one up? Okay, Riley?
Alright, so you do 4x plus 1x equals 180.
Very good.
And then you take 5x equals 180. Divide by 5 on both sides. So then you get x equals 36, and then you plug 36 back into 4, and you get 144.
Good job.
And then it's the same for 1, because like 1 times then, yeah.
Yes.
Doing
Figuratively. Okay, so we have 144
That's
degrees
great.
and 36 degrees. Okay, 144 degrees and we need a line between them?
They
Yeah.
have to be like
No. These are just our 2 answers. So, okay, so Jonathan's asking, is there an organizational thing to this where I have one on top of the other for a certain reason? No, you can also just list it 144 and 36, 144 degrees and 36 degrees, that can be fine too. So this, when we find our answer, we don't need to put it in any sort of format from our ratio, because we've taken it out of the ratio now. We're saying these are the 2 angles. Yeah, great question. Any other questions on that? On the formatting or this problem?
No.
Okay, I want you guys to look at number 7. This one's using an extended ratio now. Number 7 is using the extended ratio here.
that's a L.
Okay, if you have it or have questions, raise your hand.
Hey, my hand went up first. That's
Okay,
that's
he's
all.
closer. Okay.
Oh, crap.
Oh.
He is. Want help me check? Want to help me check? I don't know what's trying to His answer is 2.
What do you put it equal to? Never mind, I got it.
What would it be?
Well, I mean, I know what it means. Like, I know that how it is.
Isn't that weird?
Wait, what? 22.
22, 33, 44, 21.
Why are you like? Well, that's how it works in most languages. Yeah.
What?
That's how it works in most languages.
Riley's
No, they ran out of ideas. They were just like,
No, in French though, I'm pretty sure it's in French. They count by 20s. So it's like, 60 is 3 20s. 61 is 3 20s 1. 62 is like 3 20s but 2.
Well, like in Spanish, it's like everything up to 16. has
Yeah.
an A, and then
Yeah.
everything after that's
Yeah.
10 plus 8.
Yeah. Everything up to 15 keeps it. And then 16 is the SSAs. So on 7, 4x plus 7x plus 9x equals what?
180.
180. That's the interior measures of a triangle. Add them together, we get 20x equals 180. Dividing by 20 yields
9.
x equals 9. Plugging it back in gives us 36 degrees, 63 degrees, and 81 degrees, which we could double check do in fact add up to 180. Question on that one?
No, not really.
Okay. Yes.
Could there be a ratio where it tricks you, which was not actually a triangle?
No. So let me repeat the question so everyone hears it just in case. Could there be a ratio where it tricks you to where it's not actually a triangle? No. But I guess it's possible. I don't think we'll have them. We won't have them. But it's possible to where the numbers just don't work out nicely. So it's perfectly possible where the numbers just don't work out nicely in their decimals. But it's not likely. If that makes sense. And we won't have it. Yeah. Great question. What's up?
The angles in a triangle all equal 360, not 180.
The exterior angles of a triangle out of 360. The interior is out of 260. That's true. We assume it's the interior angles. We're talking about the angles of a triangle. Oh, it does say in a triangle. So if it said outside a triangle, it would be 260. But this is in a triangle. 180.
What's 180?
What do you mean?
Is it 180?
You do 180.
It's a number.
It is?
Oh my gosh.
So-
James.
Do you guys feel like you need number 8?
No.
No.
Okay.
Also divide by 22 instead of
What?
also divide by 22 instead of 180.
We just keep going.
Oh, no, that's just a really bad zero. There you go. Yes.
That just looks like an 8.
Okay. Well, you just look like an 8.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Wait, I'll take an 8 out of 10.
fair enough.
Wait, if you're an 8 out of 10, that means the standards are kind of low.
Well, duh.
Yikes. Y'all are rude to each other. 9! The ratio of the measures of the sides of the triangle is 2 to 8 to 9. 9? If the perimeter of the triangle is 76 inches, find the length of each side. Okay? What's perimeter mean? The distance around the figure. So if you add up all 3 sides, in this case, 3 sides, you get the perimeter, okay? I want you guys to try setting up number 9. Once you have it or have questions, raise your hand.
I have questions.
Just need some label ideas. You want to check?
What do you think? Sure. Really easy. Why do you help?
Number 9, we don't have a check.
Somebody's gonna casual twat absolutely.
Hey, no, we're not gonna use that word.
No, I don't want you. I have a question.
We're not gonna use that word.
Oh, I'm fine.
You're gonna stay from Mike and say.
Wait, you said
Hey,
it's
here.
76.
Oh.
You said it's 76, right?
Yep. The perimeter, so we're adding up. You want to go over and check some?
Okay, yes.
What do you have?
We were just asking about all the
I'll get there.
Oh, yeah. If you think about a ruler, look at your stick like this.
Haha. That's an Alright, we're just gonna skip 10, right?
So 2x plus 8x plus 9x will equal 76. Because perimeter means that you add up all the sides, gets that length, gets the distance around the figure. So we end up getting 19x is equal to 76, divide both sides by 19. And x does equal 4. Plug it back in, we end up getting 8 inches, 32 inches, and 36 inches for our lengths. And if we were to go back and double check, we could add these three up and get 76.
This is fun.
Questions on that?
No.
Would 10 be done the same way?
Yeah.
Yes, it would. Okay, do we need to do it right now?
Yes.
Okay, keep in mind though, this is asking for the length of the shorter side, so you need to find all three lengths.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Question on that?
This.
Okay, let's go to flip the page. That's technically accurate.
Oh my god.
What is a proportion? Wow, that proportion did not come out well, the word. Okay. It's an equation. A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equal. So we take two different ratios, we put them together with an equal sign in the middle, boom, is called a proportion. It's not like we're just supporting portions, like you're pro portion, like go portion, you know, like food, you know, portions. A proportion can be written as A to B is equal to C to D. We'll most commonly write proportions like this. A to P is equal to C to D. We'll most commonly write it like that. And then we're going to have this cross product property, which let me just explain how it works first.
Why are we?
If I were to solve this, A over B times C over D, equals C over D.
Oh, C or D.
Our first step would be to want to try and get rid of variables. First step would be to want to try and get rid of variables in the bottom. Excuse me, that. Get rid of denominators. So if I were to get rid of this denominator on the left, I'd have to multiply this by B over 1. And so then I'd have to multiply this by B over 1 to keep the equations equal. Those would simplify out. We'd have A is equal to BC over D. So then I want to do the same thing over here. Multiply by D over 1, multiply by D over 1. So I'd have A times D is equal to B times C because those D simplify out. So we can see ends up happening with this cross multiplying we called it before. Okay, you guys have heard of cross multiplying before, I'm assuming. Okay, even if you have it, well, there it is. And we end up having this denominator over here ends up being multiplied with this A. So it's like you take the A over B, C over D, and you draw a cross, a diagonal like that, an X, and now you have A times D is equal to B times C. So for any proportion, that would be true. For any proportion, that would be true. And then from there, we could solve. From there, we could solve. Okay. So if we have on number 11 here, 4 over x is equal to 2 over 7. 4 over x is equal to 2 over 7. Okay. How could we go about solving this one to figure out what the x is, what the missing number is in these ratios to make these equal? There's a couple different ways actually, but if we were to do the cross product property, what would we do? Okay. Well, according to this, A over B, C over D, A over B, C over D, what did we do with A and D? Multiply them, so what two numbers do we multiply here? 4 and 7. So you have 4 times 7 is equal to what times what? 2 times x. You cross multiply. Mathematically, here's the long way about it, and we say, oh, well, we can just do them at the same time. That gets rid of our denominators. So 4 times 7 is 28, and that's equal to 2x. we're just solving for x. And x is 14. And if we were to plug this back in, we would see, oh, that is in fact true. That 4 over 14 is equal to 2 over 7, isn't it? Yeah, because it's, we divide both the top and the bottom by 2 to get that. Okay. Questions on that? Okay. I want you guys to try number 12. I want you guys to try number 12, okay? If you have a question, I want you to raise your hand. Okay, and you will get a decimal. Okay, very good. Very good. Check. Okay. Now is the time when I would actually suggest having calculators, by the way. Can I have a high five? That's the top of the screen? Oh, go. Thank you, guys. Can I get a high five? High five? Okay. Okay. Gross. Okay. See you guys. Thank you.
Ciao. Okay, 13 scares me, I don't want to do it. Probably gonna lose. So is 14.
It shouldn't scare you as much as 19 and 20.
Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Or 17 and 18.
No, those aren't nearly as bad.
Yeah, if I was at 9, I'd be scared.
If I was 6, I'd be scared. Of 7.
That's so amazing.
No, because 7's been a tax fraud.
Oh. Oh, what is that? So 7 what?
Either way.
Okay.
So if we cross multiply here, 12 times 19 ends up being 228.
If I don't see them fighting.
And 10 times x is 10x. Now, does it really matter which side we have these on, guys?
No.
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 But they're both in the numerator now. When we cross multiply like this, they both come in the numerator. So we divide by 10, divide by 10. And this one's we can do without a calculator still because it's just power to 10. So we just move the decimal, get 22.8.
I win.
Okay. Okay.
You win in math.
Can I suggest another way of doing this too?
No.
If you would, I'd rather to. Okay. If x is already on the top, how could we get x by itself here?
Can't.
We could,
Divide by 12. Simplify 6 and 5. So you guys do 6 times 19 divided by 5 if you wanted. Or you do 12 times 19 divided by 10 and type that in your calculator.
but that's just long.
It saves a step, but it saves a step of the work if you want to, but you guys don't have to. Okay? So it saves a step of the work if you want to, because then you use x by itself in one step. You just have to do this multiplication and division in one step. So if you guys want to do that, you can. If that doesn't make sense to you, just think of it this way.
Okay, do 13.
Only if the x is in the numerator. Because down here, the light blue? Yes.
So you have
The
to
light
do
blue works literally every time. Okay, then do the light blue.
Are we gonna have to do the red on 13?
No, you never have to do the red. The
Would
red
it be
just,
easier on those? The ones that are longer like that?
no. It would.
That was really funny from my perspective. My hand just kind of shot it. All
I'm that one person
Alright, okay, let's go to 13 here. So here we would cross multiply, right? So you'd have 19 times the quantity of x minus 1 and 6 times 13, which is 78.
How do you just do that in your head? Oh,
6 times 10 is 60. I do, but I wasn't looking. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 60 is 78.
I know.
How do you train your brain just to do that? Just learn.
You just get used to it over time. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I've been doing math that way as long as I can remember.
Okay.
I just want to say you
So
are
then we would
on the-
distribute this. What, Taylor?
He is.
Make sure we let us.
Then you add 19.
Wait, at 19. This one is decimal. So a lot of these end up being decimals, which is where our calculator comes in handy.
figure out,
Okay, but it's like 5.105. Does the 5 just keep the same?
Is it 5.105?
Yeah.
Is it
But
really?
does that mean that you round up? Yeah.
Oh, well then technically I would want the 5.105. But you
Well, there's way
could.
more numbers.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Are we gonna
Well,
get
so I
back
just rounded it off to the 10th. So I'm okay with you guys just rounding it off at the 10th. But here, no, I would only want you to look for rounding to just the digit right after. So you don't even look at 0.5, you look at 0. Yep. So on this, let's just go to one decimal spot at 10th.
Are we gonna have calculators on
Maybe that's in here.
About 3.
I just don't allow it now for one except for one test because we're building math skills still, and so I want you guys to build up those more basic routine skills. Riley,
Is that a 3?
where?
It's the bottom.
It's 5.1. My pen didn't lift up there.
Let's just jump right into it and do 19.
I want you guys to try number 14.
Unacceptable.
When you have it or a question, I want you to raise your hand.
Wait, what number?
14.
14? I guess I can do that.
Are we rounding?
Yep, let's round to the nearest tenth.
Mistake? Okay. Get it.
No, that's fine.
Yes. You do this times all this, then you do what times what on the other side equals same.
Wait, that's.
It's not right. For the ones that do crossing like that, you could do foil.
Foil normal factors.
There's 3.
This number's wrong. It is wrong.
Wait, no.
Does anyone that's done, is everyone that's done has had it checked yet? Cool. Okay. Let's talk about this one back up here then. We're gonna talk about this one up here then. So we do 5 times the quantity of x plus 4 is equal to 321. Wait, no. 323, thank you. Distribute 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract 20. 5x is equal to 303. 303. Teach you not to trust people. Okay. X is equal to was it 60.6? That one I looked at my sheet, by the way.
What? Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Carrots is talking crap on me.
That comes from the high roots. Questions on number 14?
Nobody, nobody likes to snitch. I'm not talking crap.
What was that?
He told me to
Henry
say
said.
that.
Oh,
So technically I'm
carrots.
not a snitch. No one likes to snitch.
Okay. Skip over 15. Let's look at 16 here real quick. If this is 12 over 18, could we do something first here before we start multiplying and get really big numbers?
Yeah.
What could we do?
Simplify.
Simplify, right? Both by
6.
6. This can become 2, this can become 3. Would that make our life like way easier?
No.
Sure.
Okay. That's something we could do, okay, before we multiply. So if you can simplify within the own fraction, cool. I think it's a good idea. Okay. We're actually not going to finish 16. I just want to show you that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Plot twist.
Make
Okay.
us do 20.
Let's try 17. Okay.
Aw,
So 17 has been cross multiplied. We do 18 times the quantity of x minus 20. Is equal to 3 times the quantity of x minus 11. And then from there, we'd have to distribute, right? So it's the same setup. It's just this time we have to distribute on both sides instead of just on one side like we had on 13 and 14. Okay, so we have 18x isn't what, 204? 18 times 20? No, it's 360. You did. and then 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times negative 11 is negative 33. And then from there, we solve this like we normally do, right? I would subtract 3x. 15x minus 360 equals negative 33. You have to add 360. X is equal to 327. Divide by 15. And x is equal to 21.8. Anyone? What if what? What?
No, we're not.
Any questions on 17? We're gonna go over.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay, actually, yes.
Okay.
On number 19, is there?
We're not there yet.
Okay, yes.
So we're gonna be there in 1 second. So we can go this one. Is everyone good on 17?
Sure.
Okay. Now we're on number 19. And number 19, we're actually gonna have to end up having to. We can't cross reduce.
No, I mean like in general. If it's
No, you can't cross reduce on when they're equal. You can only cross reduce when we're multiplying.
that's the
So from here we would multiply. So you have to have 5 times 27, and then here you'd have to have x plus 5 times x minus 1, x plus 5 times x minus 1, and we're gonna have the FOIL. I heard Carly say, do you have the FOIL? Yeah, we do have the FOIL.
we can have 2 square roots.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna-
No. Okay. So 5 times 27 ends up being 135.
Can you like stop?
It's literally X
At x squared. Yep. So then we FOIL here. First, x times x is x squared. Outsides, x times negative 1 is negative x.
Okay, y'all better get
Insides,
used to this.
5 times x is 5x. And then last, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5.
You do a lot of this in algebra too.
Happens all the time.
So get used to it.
135 is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 5 combined like terms. And now we're going to get the factor. We get the factor, right? Okay. This is from algebra 1.
I don't think you will
Now,
get
there's multiple ways to factor. The method I always use and the one I always teach is called the x method. So what I do is I make an x. At the top of the x, I put a times c. At the bottom, I put b. Following the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So our a is whatever's with x squared, our b is whatever's with x, and our c is whatever's by itself. So here, our a is 1, our b is 4, and our c is negative 5. So 1 times negative 5 is negative 5 up here, and our b down here on the bottom is 4. And what I want is I want 2 numbers that multiply to the top and add to the bottom. I want 2 numbers that multiply to the top and add to the bottom. So I want numbers that multiply to negative 5, add to 4. If they multiply to a negative, it's going to be a negative and a positive. And which one's going to be, and the only factors of 5 are 5 and 1. So which one's going to be positive here if it adds up to positive 4? 5. A negative 1.
It's just got
And then we're able to do a shortcut on this one. We're able to do the shortcut on this one, okay? Because a is 1. If a is 1, yep. If a is 1, we can do a shortcut here. So we're able to write 135. Oops, excuse me. I did not do this correctly. I backed up. Can anybody tell me the mistake I made?
No.
we didn't have to factor. We FOILed, so we already factored. Like the factor was at the top.
No, we had to FOIL first, but then we need it to be equal to 0 in order to actually factor for our answer. I messed up there. So we have to actually subtract 135 first, which is going to make the 0 is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 140. Which would then change my stuff in the red. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's going to change my a times c. Okay, so I messed up, guys. The mistake I made, okay, was we had to get everything on one side and 0 on the other in order to be able to factor to solve for x. Okay, I know this is an algebra 1 throwback here. So on the top still goes a times c, on the bottom still goes b. So 1 times negative 140 is negative 140. We're still going to have a negative and a positive multiply to that, and it's still going to be adding up to 4. So now we have to figure out, okay, what numbers are going to be doing that. Now we might not know the factors of 140 off the top of our head. So what I like to do, guys, is start writing these down off to the side. 1 times 140. Would that one work? Would those have a difference of 4? No. Okay. 2 times 70? No. 3 doesn't go into it. 4 goes into it. Does anybody know how many times?
14.
No.
35 plus 10, 35 times?
35 times.
It's, can I
It's what?
You have to go all the way down.
Yeah, you do. It's pretty in depth, isn't it?
Yeah.
5 times
There's gotta be an easier way.
28.
No, this is
Okay, you know it? Found it?
it's 10 and 14.
Okay, it does end up being 10 and 14. Okay, it's not 7 to 20. It ends up being 10 and 14. It's not 8 and don't 8 doesn't go into it. It ends up being 10 and 14. It's go all the way down. But I like this because then we don't miss a factor. We don't miss a factor. So I go down 1, 2, 4, 5, and I tried 3. I tried 6 on the way. It didn't work. Woo! So which one's negative? Which one's positive between 10 and 14?
Negative 10.
Negative 10 plus 14, so add that up to positive 4. Now, we have a is 1. There's a 1 for the x squared, so we can do our shortcut. So 0 is equal to x minus 10 and x plus 10. Or excuse me, x plus 14 instead of 10.
Are we?
Woo! Okay. Now to solve, we say, hey, if these are multiplying to equal 0, if these two parentheses are multiplying to equal 0, at least one of them has to be 0. We call it the zero product property, saying if two or more things are multiplying to equal 0, at least one of them has to be 0. Because we never, ever, ever can we get 0 by multiplying and not have 0 be one of the numbers. So we set x minus 10 equals to 0, and we set x plus 14 equal to 0, and we solve both these equations. These are just one-steppers, so we add 10. And x is 10. Subtract 14. And x is negative 14. So realistically, either of these could be our answers, 10 or negative 14. There ends up being two answers. We got an x squared. Right? Throwback. Okay?
You do so much of that now.
Yes.
It's like
You
you
don't
hate
remember
factoring.
just the homework because I'm not good at it.
That's why you have it in your notes now. So you can go back to it. Okay? And I'm going to show you real quick the other method that's a little bit longer. Okay, but I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker on some of it. Okay? So if I were to multiply here, 2x plus 5 times x minus 6 is equal to 42. And I FOIL here, I get 2x squared minus 12x plus 5x minus 30 equals 42. Combine like terms, 2x squared minus 7x minus 30 equals 42. Now before I can factor, the step I missed before is I have to get everything on one side. So I have to subtract this 42 to get a 0 on one side for the zero product property to work here in the red. So 2x squared minus 7x minus 72 equals 0. And then what you have to end up doing, is get make x from this. With a times c still on the top, b still on the bottom. On the top is negative 144, because that's 2 times negative 72. On the bottom is negative 7. It's going to be a negative and a positive, because they multiply to a negative number. And it's going to be the negative number is going to be bigger this time. So as we go through and we end up finding our numbers, it ends up being negative 16 and positive 9. But we can't do our shortcut here. Last time we were able to jump straight into the parentheses and do variable, first number and sign. Variable, second number and sign. Here, we can't do that. We have to take this and rewrite it, but split the middle. So we take 2x squared, that stays the same. This negative 7x splits into this negative 16x, and this positive 9x from the two sides of our x method. And the negative 72 comes down. Then we group these in the first two, last two, and we find the GCF of each. 2x squared and negative 16x, the GCF is 2x, and it's x minus 8 inside, plus 9x minus 72, GCF is 9, and we're left with x minus 8. It's a darn good thing we have the same thing inside both parentheses. That's what we need. Because then we're able to pull the x minus 8 from both of these into the first parenthesis, and the second parenthesis is what's left outside, the 2x plus 9. Then we would have the same method where we set up the two equations. X minus 8 equals 0, and 2x plus 9 equals 0. we end up solving these to get x equals 8, comma, negative 9 over 2,
Wow.
or negative 4.5.
Oh.
I know that one was intense, wasn't it? I think it's fun.
You're also a math teacher.
That's factual.
Just because you asked, he's gonna give us. He's also Mr. Costa.
Okay.
Today was almost.
Now,
a good day.
what if, what if that was way too fast and Mr. Costall, I still don't remember how to factor by grouping or what I can do? Okay? I would love for you guys to watch the video, or you guys can come in and ask me too. I'm a human being. You guys can come ask me.
There's no way.
They don't.
I voiced it.
Let me see, ready?
No one's Mr. Costello.
That's- Really rude, but clear.
It's even enough.
Back at you.
I'm tired of being Mr. Costello.
I'm tired of Mr. Costall.
I'm just like, I don't think something. Or boom.
That sounds like